first day of Dallas Cowboys Training Camp has come and gone, and with it, a lot of information, news, highlights, and all those other things that have come out to really start help us put together this puzzle that we're trying to figure out our Cowboys are in 2022. But before we get started, what's going on, guys? It's Space Cowboy here. Welcome back to the channel. Got another video for you guys here today, obviously, talking about the Dallas Cowboys Training Camp. If you can like this video, that'd be greatly appreciated. It helps it perform better in YouTube's algorithm. Most importantly, subscribe if you're new or keep coming back so that you don't miss out on content as it comes out, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss that content definitely when it comes out, so you'll get notified when it does. Now, the whole first day of practice had a whole lot of stuff that came out, and we're kind of starting to see some trends emerge. And the first thing was Jabril Cox. Now, Jabril Cox, according to David Hellman, isn't on the PUP list to open camp, but Mike McCarthy confirms that they'll be slow bringing him along. Rep counts, situational work, etc., etc., but he is available to practice, which is great news for him. And he's right. You know, this is something where the Cowboys really needed Jabril Cox to be healthy and continue to work on his game, because knowing the situation the Cowboys have at linebacker, they're not signing anybody unless, you know, shit hits the fan. And I don't like that strategy, but that's what the Cowboys are rolling with. So if Jabril Cox can get started and have no issues whatsoever, and we can ensure that he's going to start week 1 and he has no limitations, that's all that matters, because the Cowboys cannot afford to have him on a backtrack or anything like that. Now, another guy that was talked about was Michael Galb. Now, with Michael Galb, according to Jory Epstein, Cowboys wide receiver Michael Galb begins training camp on the PUP list as he continues recovery from ACL tear, but he hasn't missed a target yet per Mike McCarthy. He hasn't had a setback, entering fourth quarter of rehab per Mike McCarthy. Now, he was doing lateral movement and stuff like that, but with all that being said, there is this mixed expectation of when he's going to be back. Others have said he'll be back in the early part of the season. Others have said mid part of the season. This is a very big problem because we don't know where Michael Gallup's rehab process is. They're saying that it's in the fourth quarter, but again, with an ACL injury that took place very much so at the end of the year, as we know, it's hard to put a timetable out knowing that he had a delayed surgery and also he has body healing slowed due to some conditions that he has, from what I understand. Now, it's not like right now the Cowboys are screwed in terms of the timetable, but we're going to move forward into the wide receiving core a little bit more, as James Washington was talking to some of the athletic trainers and stuff like that, and, you know, he's just been on and off. Like, there were moments during the camp where he looked solid, and he looked like, okay, you know, you can see something there. But the other problem was, and I noticed this, was that, you know, if he's already talking to the athletic trainers and we're starting to see these problems emerge of him not being able to practice due to the soft tissue stuff or the lingering foot problem that he had that made him miss all of the off-season activities before training camp, the Cowboys are in a big load of problems, because now you're banking on Tolbert and then whoever's behind him to step up, and, you know, that's not a really good recipe for success there, regardless of who you have at receiving options. You know, I don't care what you got at tight end, I don't care what you got at wide receiver, but again, you can't expect to trot out these guys when one of your key free agents of the offseason is hurt and he's not practicing. But he's been practicing, but not at the level that we've been hearing, apparently. But Tolbert has been stepping up. A lot of people have been high on Jalen Tolbert, primarily because of the playmaking he has, you know, especially coming out of college. But, you know, he impressed people to start the camp, and, you know, I'm excited to hear that. Now, moving forward with what's been going on, you know, Micah Parsons, I'm not even going to go any further. Just Micah Parsons, that's it. You know, Mike has just been looking amazing. No issues there. You know, Sam Williams, I talked about him in the video yesterday where I felt like he was going to be the surprise at training camp. He was doing some workarounds and stuff like that. The quarterbacks were doing fine. You know, as I go through the notes that I have amassed here, the big one comes here. Connor Mcgovern getting the start at left guard for the first team. You know, it's interesting because it feels like they're trying to ease Tyler Smith into the left guard spot, but he did get the second team's reps, or they've been rotating apparently. So there's that. I'm going to just say that I'm not entirely expecting Tyler Smith to start getting a whole lot of work early on, because I think the expectation is he's going to start, because there's no way in hell this man is going to sit on the bench as a first-round pick. You know, if he does, we got some issues. The other thing, too, was Anthony Brown had a really good start to the camp. He actually intercepted Dak, and this doesn't bode well for a guy like Kelvin Joseph. And the reason I say that is not because of the issues that he had with the whole offseason stuff. It's because with Kelvin Joseph and the situation the Cowboys are in, if Anthony Brown continues to play well, there are odds that the Cowboys bring him back on a cheap deal. And for Kelvin Joseph, that's not really good for him, because for me, the expectation is that if Anthony Brown is not coming back to Dallas, Kelvin Joseph or Nahshon Wright has to step up and fill that role. And if Anthony continues to play well, then the big thing is, okay, do you bring him back once again? Because he is a free agent this year, and I'm worried that if Kelvin Joseph now has to fight an uphill battle to really emerge with getting snaps. But I think that, again, this also bodes well for the Cowboys, because now you aren't like, oh crap, we need to figure out what's going to happen at cornerback. But again, I think we'll be fine. But again, that's something you don't really need. You don't really need to hear if you're if you're Kelvin Joseph. There are a couple other things too that I was reading up on. How Rico Dowdle has looked fine. Dorrance Armstrong looking good. But outside of that, there really wasn't anything else of note to come from training camp that I would say you guys really need to focus in on. A lot of it was some of the young guys are doing well. Some of the vets are doing fine. No real setbacks to start off. Questions about Michael Gallup are there. But again, I think that the Dallas Cowboys will be just fine as we enter the next coming days. So I would say the things to keep a monitor on are James Washington, because of that whole injury that he had during the offseason, and is it gonna limit him? The next thing is keeping an eye out on the young Bucks at defensive back. Excuse me, I was about to say defensive end. Well, you can throw that in too, but you have Nahshon Wright, you have Kelvin Joseph trying to develop, so that's something you need to keep an eye out on. And then the other thing too is, keep an eye out on Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert has been making a lot of splashy plays already, and that's something that we need to focus on as we continue. Everything else apparently just seems like where I'm at. So there's that. With all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this little recap of the highlights, news, and information regarding your day one of training camp as much as I could abridged. So remember, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and hit the notification bell. And most importantly, as you can see on the screen, if you missed out on the last video, by all means, make sure to click it. Click the little icon above it if you did not subscribe already. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Alright guys, have a good one. Goodbye.